Mental health issues has longer lasting symptoms. You want to isolate more, you want to be alone more.
How do we ensure that we manage anxiety and stress?
Being mentally aware of what is happening in your mind. Practice mindfulness.
What are the most common signs and symptoms, or how can you watch out to know that it's approaching, it's coming?
The more you start becoming anxious. By the way, stress and anxiety are normal ways of dealing with life. And the more you get stressed with small things in life, that is already a red flag.
And so the healthy coping mechanisms, I like to summarize them in ACT, A-C-T.
So I'm going to go straight into the questions now, or rather straight into the discussion. I'm going to start with you, Maureen. How do we differentiate normal stress? Because everybody has stress once in a while, right? Ama mpatangi stress. How do you differentiate when what you have is normal stress and a mental health issue?
Okay, so normal stress is short term. It's about an activity or an event that's happening now. So maybe I have a deadline, or I am processing a breakup, or I'm processing a thing. So this stress is for now. So I'm feeling overwhelmed and anxious about it now. But when the event comes to an end or ends, then the stress dissipates. Mental health issues has longer lasting symptoms. You'll notice a lot of stress and anxiety that is long lasting, perhaps episodes of deep sadness or deep anxiety, things that are longer lasting than more than just an event. You notice that you go slowly towards a darker and a darker place. You want to isolate more, you want to be alone more, you cope negatively more for longer periods of time. Then you know it's time to see someone. It's becoming something. Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, thank you. So the difference is the term. Yeah, one is short term, the other one is long term. Okay, and I want to believe, you could correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong. Nimetoka Morima. Just nielewe. Usiguze Morima. Sips water. Thank you very much. So you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to believe that if the short term is not handled well, it could end up being long term. Yeah, it could end up
most
being
of the time, yes.
Depressive symptoms. So Lisa, how do we ensure that we manage anxiety and stress so that it doesn't extend to a long term situation?
I think it begins with first being aware and being mentally aware of what is happening in your mind. You realize that there are things when you're stressed and when you're going through anxiety, you begin to experience things such as your sleep pattern changes. You also find yourself being in a position where you're not able to concentrate as usual. So what you do, the first thing you will do is practice mindfulness. Oh yeah. What are the cool people saying? And yeah, so first is practicing mindfulness. You can log out. I know in this current generation there's so much pressure to be online all the time, so much pressure to be on Instagram, to be active all the time. You can practice mindfulness and reset. You just withdraw for a moment and focus on your mind. Another thing that you can do, you can journal as well. You know, when you're writing down your feelings, you're able to connect with them and also be aware of them in a better way. And I think there's something I want to demonstrate this. Yeah. Can I?
Feel free.
Can I have three people, 3 volunteers?
Very nice, very fast.
Thank you.
Let's have a gentleman as well. Let's have a gentleman.
Oh. Wow. I think you can just pick up. Wow. Okay, because no. You're good there. So this is the spirit, this is the mind, and this is the body. Okay? So the mind is the medium between the spirit and the body. So everything flows from here. Everything that happens in a human's life flows from the spirit and goes down to the mind, to the body. But the mind connects the spirit and the body. Hapa ndio sasa, when the spirit gives revelations, the mind translates them to the body. So when the mind is corrupted, the spirit is not able to get to the body. So this person is not able to activate revelations. So the main thing to do, and this is not just for stress and anxiety, but for any other mental health issue, disorder, when you start pouring from here, when you start feeding the spirit, the goodness that comes with feeding the spirit will flow to the mind, and it will flow to the body, okay? So the main thing, and I think this is something I really advocate, as Wahome said, mental health is really not advocated for in church. Not say it's a bad thing, you know. Lakini, they make it look like a bad thing, yeah? They make it look like a bad thing. So the main thing you do, and the main thing to deal with, I mean the main way and the best way to deal with mental health issues, you feed your spirit. And how do you feed your spirit? By being mindful and being concentrated in the presence of God. And trust you me, everything will begin to flow to the mind. This is where fear begins to go away. Anxiety, and I'm not saying this at Isasa to ditch therapy. We need money, right? We need tunataka pesa. So sisi we have yet we ditch therapy, but I'm just telling you this to know that the best thing you can do for yourself is feed your spirit, because when you feed your spirit, everything will begin to flow from the mind, and then from the mind to your body. You know, I as a therapist, I love going the holistic way when it comes to approaching mental health issues, because when the mind is affected, the things will begin to manifest to the body. Ndo maana unapata when you're having a prolonged issue in the mind, unapata your gut health begins to go down. I think Wahome talked about ulcers, right? So unapata gas issues, unapata ulcers, shida za tumbo, and it all begins from the mind. Sasa ikifika ni body. So if you need to treat the mind, you begin from here, okay? Yeah, so upon your anxiety issues inaanza kukua settled, the fear starts being settled, and when now the mind is settled, now the things begin to flow to the rest of the body. Yeah.
Wow.
Thank you so much.
I love the holistic approach with which you answered that question. Wow, I feel I've learned so much, yeah? Very mindful, very cutesy, very demure. Thank you, Lisa. Thank you so much. Dr. Wango, what are the most common signs and symptoms of some of the most common mental health conditions like anxiety, bipolar, depression? What are the most common signs and symptoms, or how can you watch out to know that it's approaching, it's coming?
Thank you very much. First of all, life is challenging by itself, and even when we look at aspects like stress and anxiety and all those mental disorders, depression and all, we actually look at them in a continuum. Because what happens is that life is challenging. I mean, who doesn't have a challenge in life? You certainly, maybe you woke up earlier than you wanted today. You have a relationship that may not be doing as well as it should. And then you have another one that's most unfortunately getting out of control. So there will be signs along the way. And I was very happy when I heard the young gentleman and the lady express themselves. Life has challenges. Let's begin from there. There are those stressful moments in our lives. Who is not stressed? You're stressed by one thing or another. But as that stress moves on, you should not allow it to extend too much. Because the more you are stressed, the more you start becoming anxious. By the way, stress and anxiety are normal ways of dealing with life. You can't deal with your life if you're not a bit stressed. That's why when you go to an exam, you are a bit stressed, okay, because of the exam. There's a joke I like telling people, and I make a joke and I tell them, I like watching a student who comes 20 to 30 minutes late for an exam. I would definitely smile and you see me laughing. I just know that that person will make for me a day. Because when the person comes and sits, immediately you are late for an exam. It's the easiest example I ever give. The first thing I always do is, especially the ladies, they sit. And when the first pen they look for doesn't light. And I always have a pen. I don't know whether you use this like now I have 2 pens. I always give them the pen. I have a joke I do. I give them the pen and the mark sheet to write the name. And they can't write their name. The roll call, that one. They can't write and they can't remember their registration number. So I sit there laughing. Then I tell you, relax. And then, so after that, after they write, I take my pen away. And then the person starts looking for a pen and get the booklet. Why? You've just disorganized your mind. The mind works in a pattern. And that's something I've tried to teach people, and they don't get it. The mind works in a pattern. If you noticed, you found me in town waiting for you at 2. By 3, I think we were here. By 4, we came in all much earlier than any of this. Because the mind works in a pattern. The more you organize your mind, the more it makes a pattern. I want you to look up. I even look at this pattern. Look at the way the pattern is made. That's the way your mind works. It works in a pattern. So what stress does is that one of those parts could be broken. So it gets broken. Life has its stress. I stay in Logai. I keep telling people I stay in Logai. I'm a supporter of Asanari. Asano. We keep being defeated every day, but we have not committed suicide. It doesn't give us a heartbreak. So that's where you start. And the more you get stressed with small things in life, that is already a red flag. It's starting to tell you, I'm not copying. I'm not copying. And I was very happy when she expressed stress and anxiety, and she did the same. And she said it starts fast, then it escalates. So when you are stressed, a bit stressed, you don't have money, you don't have this, I come late. Let's say I started from the house late, you are already getting late. Don't ask anybody, you are already doing badly. Then as you go on, you get into this long relationship. I've been on the radio for so long, I don't know why people never get it. When you are with a narcissistic spouse, it's a matter of time before it breaks you down. And I have tried to tell people, 50% of people who engage with a narcissistic person end up dead. They don't want to listen. The next 25% end up with mentally broken. It's only 25% who survive. And I'm so glad she's among the 25%. That's why she's alive. Yeah, I almost woke up to greet her. She's among the 25 because a narcissistic spouse saps you up. So that's what we mean by the signs. You're already stressed. As the stress goes on, it starts sapping you up. As it goes, you start becoming anxious and fearful. You are anxious. You fear people. That's a red flag. And there are so many red flags that our relationship is not doing well. We have tried to tell people. It's already there. There are so many. Yes, they are red flags. One time I was laughing at one of my students in that year who told me how she went to the boyfriend. I'll give you one, and then you tell me whether it's there. And they were at Matsuda, the stage, and the boy and the girl received a message from whoever it was, and she told the boyfriend to show her the message, and she refused, and the boyfriend slapped her. First of all, this is not his phone. First of all, this is not his. I know you are shocked. She's looking at me like, yeah. No, don't worry about the message. The point was, she received a message, and the guy said, I was with my student in class, and the student asked me, is that narcissistic? And I'm like, what do you expect it to be? First of all, this is not your phone. He hasn't bought you this phone. Second, not carefully, not carefully, he did not even see the message. And you know the messages we receive, even me. By then, I tell people, my phone is open with the finger and the password. My wife has both. My wife never bothers with my password. Me, I don't even have hers. I never bother. If my wife phone rings, I tell her, where are you? Your phone is ringing. Why must I go the red flag way to stress myself with my wife's phone? This is where you start. And it escalates into anxiety. And let me tell you, there's a very simple line here. You move from stress to fear to anxiety to burnout. The only difference between stress and burnout is stress is too much. Burnout is I have had enough. So when you reach burnout, you must stay with us there, with the rules from China. And the Gen Zs who are my great friends, I like the way they demonstrate for the better of this country. Immediately you move from that, you move to depression. Then you move from bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. That's the way the road goes. Stress, fear, anxiety disorders, burnout, depression. When you are depressed, we give you antidepressants. One of the side effects of antidepressant is suicidal tendencies. And when you are depressed, you have suicidal tendencies. Don't reach there. Stay here at burnout. Ukifika hapo simama. Rudi kwetu sisi watu wa Arsenali, tunatwangwa, tunangojea cup. We wait for the roads in Nairobi to be repaired. Immediately you move beyond that to depression now. You have suicidal tendencies. Then you move to bipolar 1, bipolar 2. By the way, from the time you are in depression, you are not with us, counseling psychologist. You are with the clinical psychologist. You are with the psychiatrist. You are receiving antidepressants. You are sick. And that road, for you to get back from this road back this way, it's very wrong. So stay with us here. Do a bit of, let me show you another way, another sign, yes. I tell students, if you tell me you have one missing unit, I teach at the University of Nairobi, of course. Do I say? There. if you tell me that you have one missing unit, I know you have two. If you tell me you have two missing units, I know you have four. If you tell me you have 4 missing units, I know you have 8. By the time you have 8 missing units, that's a semester. By the time you have 16 missing units, that's a year. The red flags are open. The red flags are open. You are already there. By the time I was very happy when I came and saw so many young people here and the girls. Because one of the things these girls do and the young people is, the sun on Friday must set up in fascia. The sun sets up in fascia. Jasmine, fascia is in fascia.
I don't know.
And you know, every Friday, the sun sets up in fascia. So you have not done a cut. You have not done an assignment. The exam is here. As a lecturer, I tell you, give me your assignment, you sit for my cut. I mean your cut, you sit for the exam. So you have 7 missing exams. And that's why so many people don't graduate. So the red flags is, you start making, it starts small. And that's why, with due respect, like now you notice when you invite me for such an occasion, for young people, I come. Because that's what you're not telling young people. It starts small. What is this relationship that you're having? Quick one. Any relationship started below 21 years, we write up in disaster. You don't have to ask. Just do the statistics. Any relationship, I did not say, notice, use your listening skills carefully. I did not say you don't get into a relationship. I did not say you cannot get engaged. I am very careful. Any relationship started below 21 years into a commitment will always end up in disaster. And go and see 60 to 70% of the divorces are relationships started below 21 years. Why? Because you have not developed to do your relationship. You ask for signs. That's the first sign. So if you are already committed in a relationship below 21 years, don't ask for any sign. You are headed for a disaster. Because a relationship goes through stages. You have to understand the person. You have to date the person. The person you met is very different from the person you find yourself living with. So because you don't know this person, You'll suddenly be shocked in the middle of the relationship to find that you don't know this person. And you are already committed in it. It's a disaster because you can neither go on nor go off. And if this person is narcissistic, you are already depressed. So that's why the science starts small. And that's why for young people, you need to start with your life and work in it slowly. And I want to add with the men, because one more sign. When you are a man and you are getting into so many debts, you have a debt here, wewe ni fulisa, nasikia watu wa fulisa, they can elect the president and the senator and the governor all at the same time. The more you are getting into debts, the more you should ask yourself, you have borrowed from Peter to pay Pauline, from Pauline to pay Paul, from Paul to pay whoever. Yes, so these debts are accumulating. And you are moving from one Fulisa group to another. As they are moving, it's sapping out your energy. You are switching off your phone. You are becoming lonely. Loneliness kills. That 3% of the people in the world are lonely. That's how you get there. So don't go into these things. Stop now and ask, what can I do? So you pick it up. So don't go for the red signs are there. And anybody here, with due respect, I do this with the young people, and I tell them, anybody here who is doing badly, if you sit with them and they talk to you carefully, you will see the red signs. You will see who will never graduate here. They have 14 missing units. You have 28 missing units. The person has never been to campus for the last 3 days, for the last 3 years. So these signs are there. It's only that we don't want to own them. And we must bring up young people like this who are responsible. And I'm very grateful to meet them.
Thank you so much. So you stop the signs before they proceed, before we get, to bipolar 1 and bipolar 2, because then beyond that it gets difficult to treat. Speaking of coping mechanisms, Maureen, what are some of the healthy coping mechanisms that we can apply, especially when we face things like trauma or grief? Because these are things that are going to come by at some point in life, yeah? Sometimes they're unavoidable. Maybe you've lost someone, maybe you've lost a relationship. So when you go through trauma, what are some of the healthy coping mechanisms that we can apply?
Okay, so we have healthy and unhealthy coping mechanisms. All of us know what is unhealthy coping mechanisms, right? When you are drinking too much or are drinking a little more than usual. I liked how Winnie was open with her testimony and said she was a wine girl. And when you're drinking a little bit more than your usual, you're engaging in certain practices like cutting yourself or harming yourself. Those are the unhealthy coping mechanisms. And we usually don't need anyone to tell us that's unhealthy. You already know it deep within. And so the healthy coping mechanisms, I like to summarize them in ACT, A-C-T. A is acknowledge what you're struggling with. Acknowledge and accept. I am going through grief, I'm going through loss, I'm going through this. Acknowledge it. Because many of the times we hide what we are going through, as if by hiding, you will emerge on the other side and the thing has not touched you. We ostrich it, an ostrich just buries their head in the sand. So you're just like, I'm going through grief, but I go submarine, and when I emerge on the other side, it is angels singing glorious, wonderful things. The thing is not going anywhere. And people who drink say, you drink to drown your sorrows. Now your sorrows are great at swimming, so they come back. The next morning you have a spitting headache, and your sorrows are still not solved. So acknowledging and accepting what you're going through is your first coping mechanism, because then you begin to go towards number 2. You realize that perhaps what I'm going through is a bit too hard for me. I need community. That's the C. And so you begin to reach out to people for help. It can be with cousins, as Wahome shared. It can be with therapists. It can be with people who can actually help you. That now you can say, I'm struggling with grief. How do I get help from here? And that's the third thing. That's the second thing, community. And then from there, then you seek the help that you need. Because even when you come into our counseling room, we'll ask you, what's going on? What do you need? Because you have to understand what you need. You have to understand how you need to be helped. And so those 3 help you to navigate. The major points is acknowledging, accepting, reaching out to community. And the smaller points is what Lisa alluded to, journaling, mindfulness, meditation, actually wanting to be outside with people even when you want to be indoors. Actually going to someone and saying, sit, I want to talk about this. Actually doing things that help you, like even just leaving the house to go out for a walk, a meditative walk, that's helping, that's coping in a healthy manner. Putting away the bottle if you've been drinking all day, that's coping, and go outside. So the healthy things, we often know them. Because deep within our hearts, what I find most interesting is that God writes and has written the right and the wrong in your heart. You already know. Like there's nothing that I'm telling you that is new. Unajua, as a Christian, even my 3-year-old, she knows when she's doing something wrong. Who taught her? Because God writes the law in our hearts. So you know what is healthy for you. You know what is bad for you. What could be healthy for me could not be healthy for Dr. Adesina. So you know what's healthy for you. Most of the time, we assume that we'll do unhealthy things, but the grace of God will cleanse them and purify them until they are healthy. And it doesn't work like that, guys. You reap what you sow. And so because you know what is right, do what is right for you. If you don't know what is right, or you suspect, I think journaling might help me, I think maybe walking, ask for help. That's where community comes in. Say, yo, I'm struggling with this. What do you think? How do you help? And today we live in an age where information is at your fingertips like this. Like, friends, how many AI solutions do you know? Shout, shout, shout. Gemini, all of them, you could ask quietly as you're walking in a matatu, what are healthy coping skills for heartbreak? The thing will give you paragraphs upon paragraphs of how to cope. So you know you have the information. Do the thing that is right within you that you know. Yeah.
You have the information, it's within you. Do the thing that is right within you. Awesome. Thank you.